Hi there, philomaths. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Daphne. So I'm going to, in this video, discuss the pros and cons of attending UNC Chapel Hill. I attended UNC Chapel Hill to finish my bachelor's degree, and I've had a lot of experiences, and I wanted to share some pros and cons if you are deciding to go to UNC Chapel Hill for your bachelor's degree or master's or PhD. I thought it would give you a good insight into what to expect at UNC Chapel Hill and to help you determine if it's a right fit for you. So I'm going to just go ahead and jump in. I'm going to start with the pros first and then the cons. So the pros, the campus. The campus is so beautiful. I don't think anyone has ever said anything negative about the campus. It is gorgeous. I will actually pop up here on the screen a few photos that I took while on campus. It is so pretty, especially in the fall. It's so vibrant and the trees are so colorful and the sky is so blue sometimes when it's not cloudy. But yeah, and then you got squirrels and chipmunks, and it just really makes you so happy. Okay, so the second pro, I would say, would be study areas. So you have several different options. You have libraries, you have the pit stop, which I'll discuss in a second, and then you have basically the outside and then cubicle areas. So in the libraries, you have different cubicle areas. You can sit out in the open at a table, or you can sit on a chair. They have comfortable chairs with like a swivel sort of desk, and it's really nice. And then also they have cubicles and or tables. Honestly, I think on every floor. I know in the Davis Library, any library you go into, there's an ample amount of seating. There has to be because there's so many students. I think they did close the Wilson Library, though. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong on that, but you might want to check. But yeah, I think they maybe shut that down. I don't know if it's temporary or permanently, but I remember receiving something in my email about that. Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened with it, but yes. But there's still the Davis Library, and then you have the Robert Undergrad Library. It seems like it's a bit longer, but yes, ample amount of seating. And in the Davis Library, I think there's 7 floors, and there's tables and cubicles on every single floor. So it's really pretty, and you get a good view too. Okay, so the pit stop. You can study at the pit stop. You can eat at the pit stop. It's basically the center of campus is toward the front, though. So, yeah, it's where a lot of the events and things happen. Um, and then also, you could just, go to East Franklin Street. You could go to Starbucks. They have a local, like, breakfast coffee shop there. So you have a lot of options. You could also sit outside. The campus, like I said, is beautiful, and they have spots where you can just put like a picnic towel and just lie on it, or you could sit on the stairs. I've seen students do that, just sit on the stairs. Sometimes on the stairs, sometimes out of the way because the stairs are so big. So yeah, you have a lot of study options or study area options where you can study and focus. So that's nice. The other pro that I would say is walkability / bike friendly. So in general, I would say Chapel Hill is very bike friendly and walkable. It depends on where you are going because you probably don't want to walk or bike too far. But if you are within a close proximity to everything, then that's a really good option. In fact, on campus, you can rent bikes. I'm not sure how much they are because I never did rent a bike, but yeah. And then also, some students brought electric scooters or skateboards, and you can ride everything on campus as well. So that way you don't have to walk, because it is a big campus. And then lastly, for pros, the only other one I could come up with, and if I come up with more, I'll pop it on the screen, but this is the only other one. It's well known, so a lot of people know about UNC Chapel Hill, and I feel like it would look good on applications. That's partly why I went there, along with financial aid. But I guess it depends. Depends on who you're talking to, and then also what state you're in and all of that. Okay, cons. So the first con that I would say is the location. Now, I actually watched a couple of videos before I chose UNC Chapel Hill, and they mentioned pros and cons also. And one person mentioned location as a pro, but I actually disagree. I would say it's a con, because you're not really near the beach, you're not near mountains, and then you're also near Durham, which I've not heard the best about. I've heard downtown is coming up, but in general, I just haven't heard great things about Durham. So you do need to be careful. I think in another pro and con video, there was a girl who said, or a college graduate who said, just lock your doors and hope for the best. I don't know. It's not very good. Doesn't sound very good. So yeah, I would say location is a con, because you do have people that are in Durham that can come over, and there's been some instances like was at a gas station. So I would just be very careful. Okay, so second con is it is very difficult to find a job if you need one. So there's a couple of variations on that. The first is if you are a student and you're looking to intern, or you're looking to get some experience on a job. I did not have the best of luck. I also did not live on campus, so that was probably a caveat, but I mean, it's just so expensive. That would be another con that I actually don't have listed. But yeah, it's very difficult because you are competing against a lot of people. But also, if you don't rely on parents or a lot of people or anyone to pay your rent or your car payment or whatever you have, and you do need a part-time job or maybe a full-time job, that's going to be very hard, because your schedule may not allow you to do it. I know for 2 or 3 semesters, my schedule was all over the place, so it was really hard to work during that time. You really have to find somewhere that will let you work, late at night or super early in the morning, or maybe in the middle of the day only. And it's certain days, it was really difficult for me, because I did need a job so I could pay for bills. Okay, so another con, and everyone says this, parking. No one likes parking at UNC Chapel Hill. I've not heard one positive thing about parking. It's basically non-existent, and the spots that are open, you have to pay either $150 or $175. The $150, your car is not secure as much. For the $175, it's more secure because you have to go through the flag, and I think they're called a teller, right? And you have to pay through them. So that's a little better, but you are paying 25 cents more per hour. And if you're on a budget, it does rack up pretty much, especially if you have a lot of classes, or if your classes are really long. Like if you're in a studio arts class, it's probably going to be 2 to 3 hours depending on the class. So just for that one class, you are paying $300 to $4.50 just for one class. Plus you have to commute, like you have to walk or bike, and then you have to walk or bike back to your car. So it can add up pretty quickly. So really you are looking at, I would say, paying at least $3. Probably more if you have 4 courses. And then also, if you want to stay on campus all day, it's going to be very expensive. I know sometimes, like I had one class in the morning one semester at 8 a.m. and then my next class was not until I think 3 or 3:30. So I just left and I went to a coffee shop or somewhere off of campus, so that way I wouldn't have to pay the parking. So that's kind of a not fun. And then let's see. Okay. So if you don't have a car, or if you would prefer not to pay for your car, they do have transportation options. However, I still consider this a con because the bus routes are difficult to keep up with. I looked at going that route, but I didn't know which bus was labeled what. I wasn't sure which direction it was going. I'm sure I could find all that out, but it just seemed like a hassle. And I was already kind of in the middle of a semester. I was in the middle of the program. So it just seemed like too much. I'd rather just drive myself. Also, you are having to wait on the bus. So it could arrive a little bit late. It could arrive a little bit early. And I just don't like the idea of relying on someone else to transport me to class, because if I'm late, that's not on me, and it would just be a really frustrating situation. They also have a park and ride, but I mean, why not just park on campus? That's where you leave your car somewhere and then you take a ride with someone, but I still think you have to pay like $5 for that or something. It's ridiculous. And then you could also obviously Uber or Lyft, but that does get expensive. So parking in general on campus, unless you live right on campus, is very expensive. You are looking at potentially a dangerous situation if you do walk. There's a lot of Carolina alerts that come out, at least when I was going to school. And that's where they message, like text message or email everyone, saying that, a theft happened or whatever. So you might want to be very careful about that. And then also, the living conditions on campus, it just depends on your preference. I think I heard that one, I think it was not a dorm. I think it was an apartment complex. I was told that there's a lot of partying going on, so a lot of noise. So it just depends on your preference. Okay, another con is it's a big campus, so that can be a pro because there's a lot to look at, and it's, again, beautiful. But if you have to get to one class that is along East Franklin Street, and then you have to get to another class that's along Raleigh Road, you're having to commute somehow from one end of campus to the other, and you may have 15 minutes in between, and you may have 30 minutes in between. It just depends on how the classes are set up. So that's kind of a caveat. I've had a couple where it was pretty tight on time, and I had to walk. I didn't have a scooter or bike. So yeah, if you can get one, like I mentioned earlier, but then if you don't already have one, you have to pay. So that's just, more money. So that's a challenge. And also, even though my classes, some of them were not far apart at all, I sweat in between classes because it was so hot. And so, yeah, forewarning. So that's what happens when you attend a school with a big campus. Even in North Carolina, which is surprising. Okay, so if you are in the middle of campus, also, if you are on a big campus like this, then you're not close to the edge. So if you did want to just hop off of campus real quick for XYZ reasons, that's going to be really hard to do. Also, parking is usually on the edges, like the outskirts of the campus. So if you have to walk to the dead center of campus, then that takes up, probably 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 15. So, yeah, something to think about. And then just, in general, walking to or from your car is not very efficient if you're trying to save time and spend more time studying and less time commuting or walking. So, something I would think about also. And then the last con that I have for UNC Chapel Hill is not really something I want to mention, but it's something that I had to deal with, and it was not something that I really anticipated having to deal with. And that is politics. I'm not going to really say anything more about that. I'm just going to say that, I mean, there are some concepts that fit, but it was a little bit overbearing. I think the way that some of the professors approached it. And then also, I not only sometimes would get it in the classroom, which would be very often, I would also get it on campus. And it was just so negative. If it had been more uplifting and positive, that's one thing. But it was not. It was kind of negative. And I think I was accepted in the spring of 21, roughly. And then I started attending fall of 2021. So we had, just all gone through a lot. And it was just, yeah, I really anticipated it being different and better than it was. I'll probably go into a little more detail on my expectations for the school in another video. I would like to discuss my major and minor and why I majored and minored in those things. So I'll probably discuss it a little bit there. But yeah, it was just not what I was anticipating. And that's kind of unfortunate. And then lastly, I just want to make a couple of extra mentions just to make sure that I've covered all my bases. And also, if you are looking at this video to see what you want to do, if you've been accepted to multiple schools, or if you're looking to apply to UNC Chapel Hill. So a couple of things I would think about / consider is health insurance is required. So if you go, and this is, I think, to any North Carolina school, health insurance is required, which, I didn't put it as a pro or a con because it depends on what you believe as far as health insurance. If you need health insurance, some people do. But I just did not like the fact that it was required. I would have liked for it to have been optional. If you do not have health insurance through your parents or someone else, or you don't have one on your own through work, they will provide it for you through financial aid. However, you will not get reimbursed. You would have to fill out a form to get reimbursed for the 1,000 plus that they take out for health insurance, which is why I kind of thought it was a con. If you do need it because you just need health insurance, maybe you're an athlete and you are at risk of, breaking a bone, or maybe you have a condition that develops, or I don't know, and you just need health insurance for whatever reason because you have to go see a doctor pretty frequently, then health insurance would be a pro. But if you don't see a doctor that often and you're not really in favor of health insurance being required and you don't want to deal with anything like that through financial aid or have to pay up front, and it's over $1,000, then it would be a con. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to mention is I don't know if this is a deal breaker for you, but something to keep in mind if your synchronization with classes and things are a little bit different. Something to keep in mind is I'm pretty sure they only allow fall entrance for transfers. And then maybe freshmen. I don't know of anyone getting into UNC Chapel Hill in the spring. I think fall is always the starting semester. So if you are a transfer student and you finished in, let's say, December of whatever year, then you're not going to be able to transfer to UNC Chapel Hill until the fall. So you'll have to apply for the fall semester. So I did not like that because I did end up finishing my transfer or my, associates in December. So that was a little annoying. Oh, and I did want to mention one more con that I thought of. Advising at UNC Chapel Hill is terrible. And I was really looking forward to that aspect of college because I had a really good experience with the state college that I attended, Florida State College at Jacksonville, and they were super sweet and nice and available, answered all my questions. But UNC Chapel Hill, different story. They will not respond to your emails. If they do, they only respond one time. They they're just hard to get in touch with. They also at UNC Chapel Hill do this Zoom attendance, or not attendance, but this Zoom meeting with your advisor. And I would really just prefer to walk in and discuss what I need to discuss with my advisor, or even make an appointment like in person or something, which you can do. But I just really had expected it to be a lot better and a lot different. Most of the advisors kind of act like you need them and not they need you. So I didn't like that, which is unfortunate. Financial aid is way better, actually, so that would be a pro. Um, if you email them, they'll email you back talking about financial aid. And yeah, it's a lot better in the financial aid department, generally speaking. So just a couple of extra mentions that I wanted to mention just in case. So basically the bottom line is this. It depends on what you want to deal with. If you don't mind sweating on your way to class, for example, or if you have a bike or a scooter or an electric scooter, then a big campus may not be an issue for you. And if you don't mind the extra mentions, if you don't mind some of the cons and you love all the pros, then it's a win and it's a good fit for you. But if you are hesitant on some of these, then reconsider, because you are going to have to attend at least 2 years, if not 4 years, if you do go in as a freshman. So that's a long time. It doesn't seem like a long time, and it does go by fast, but if you are having issue after issue and you are just really, you might get tired of the constant paperwork, which, FAFSA and everything, that's going to be with every school, but it just seemed like it was a little more excessive at UNC Chapel Hill. So, like I said, it depends on what you want to deal with, and I hope this video helped you decide on what you want to do. And if it did, please leave me a comment down below on how this video helped you, and I hope to see you in the next video.